Hello and welcome to Bringing Education Home. I'm Herb.
And I'm Christina. And together we bring you experts and ideas to help grow healthy, happy, successful families that are both inside.
And outside the box. If you like the show, be sure to follow Christina on Facebook.
And please leave us a like review on your favorite podcast platform.
And today I have the pleasure of introducing Deborah C. Burton. Deborah has an MBA in Applied Spiritual Psychology and Family Counseling. She has certificates in alternative healing. She's worked internationally with thousands of clients over 3 decades. She's an evidential medium, intuitive, transpersonal self-connection facilitation, energy frequency healer, analyst, forecast, life journey relationship, and she's self-published a book and is co-authored of Miracles Are Normal. Welcome, Deborah. It is a pleasure to have you here. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Oh, very, very nice to be here, and thank you. And that book, Miracles Are Normal, is still to come out. So it's soon to be launched, but we need to be a little more patient.
Got it. Well, we will look forward to it. So, Deborah, tell us a little bit about your passion. What was that pivot point in your life, or how did you kind of get into this work, and why is it so important to you?
Okay, so my why for being in this work is that I realize the importance of spirituality, that I realize there's more to life than just the physical. So when I was a little girl, I shared the bedrooms with my 4 sisters. So we didn't have a lot of money, and I had to sleep in that room or that room. On that particular night, I was alone. There was no one in the bedroom, so I thought. All of a sudden, there was a cocktail party going on in my room. And I was really surprised because it was dark and there shouldn't have been anybody there. And people were socializing and drinking things and bumbling around. And a butler approached me dressed in tails with gloves and a silver tea service. And I thought he was going to pour me some tea, but he didn't. He walked right through me. And then I felt like, oh, something's going on here. And I realized that there is more to life than just the physical world. So what I realized is when I would go to the forest, then I saw something or someone. When I went to the basement, I saw something or someone. When I went to the refrigerator, I saw something or someone. And it just started to get pretty spooky. And so I asked Spirit at that time to please close the door. And then I regretted it because I realized that I didn't have the access to the spirituality that I was used to seeing in other realms. And I had to work really, really hard for at least 7 years plus to get the door back opened. And I promised I would never close it again. So I say this to indicate that there is much more to the life than just the physical level, there's more to life than what meets the eye, this eye and this eye. So that's how I got into it. And I'm a medium as a result, as well as was mentioned. And that's my passion, to get people consciously connected to that spiritual self so that they are a spiritual and a physical being working together in this incarnation.
Yeah, that's more of my world. I'm the outside of the box person. I've been involved in a lot of spirituality throughout my life. I had gifts as well, and they became uncomfortable, and I asked for them to be turned off as well. I haven't got mine turned all the way back on yet, but they do kind of peek out now and again at opportune or inopportune times, depending on the situation. So I completely understand with where you're at, and the path that sent me down has very much put me in the outside of the box category. So really appreciate your story. How did you take that then into family counseling? How did you take this gift, and then once you get it turned back on, how did you use that to start helping families, and why family counseling? Why that direction?
That's a very good question. So where I studied, that was what was offered. The spiritual psychology was very important to me, and that was what was offered. And what I've also realized is that the families are a real important aspect of life. People don't consider that. Folks are born into that family for a reason. This is my perspective. They're born into that family for a reason, and they actually choose their parents for the constellations that they will live, the constellations that will be presented to them. And they even choose their name. They somehow whisper it to the parents or somewhere in the environment that the name will find a frequency resonance, and they'll get that name for the path that they would lead for the soul's development. And it's very interesting because people often think, why did I have that mother or that one or that? And sometimes if one believes in reincarnation, or if you don't have to, but you can think of it like a car. When you are born, you're given a body, and that body is like your car. So you take a breath, and all of a sudden you have life where there was none in that little form. And that little form then moves you from point A to point B, point P to point C. And maybe at some times it might need to go to the garage to get fixed, which maybe somebody goes to a health practitioner or something like that. But after a while, the car doesn't work anymore. You have to get a new car, or you get a new body, and you give up that life force that you had. So getting back to your question, people often reincarnate with the same group or different elements from that group to work out different issues, is my thought. So maybe they don't have that same person as a contact from another lifetime, but maybe they're just the right fit for that issue to be worked out and developed. So that's why I say you can believe in reincarnation or it doesn't matter. Usually you get the one that presses your button just the right way so that you can transform that if one is open and willing to do so. So
Some
the
some that's
people
also
in our,
got like generational trauma might be another word, or being passed down by family. So there's all sorts of ways to kind of talk about that in different ways that make people comfortable. But it does kind of move into the same direction of that's happened now. Now, how do we deal with it? What are those steps that we start? Okay, we got here. This is what we're doing. Now, what do we do to make it better?
So one thing I would reflect on, and thank you for the question, is to stop thinking that it's always the other person. It could be. However, if it's triggering that being, there's some work to do in some kind of way, shape, or form, whether it's to leave and put one in a more resonant form or space, or to stay and work things out, and to see how to transform with love. That can be the greatest gift, the greatest present of all. How to develop enough that the love is sufficient to fill in the holes and to become the parent for us that we wanted to have, to become the parent to our own self, and realize also that our parents were not born with instruction books. It's quite a thing, all of a sudden there's this little form there, and one doesn't necessarily consciously recognize, oh, that was my mother before, like I had the opportunity to experience. And mostly it's like, oh, here's someone new. And to get to know that being and to get to know the resonance that one has with that self. And what am I to learn in this? Because these little ones teach us as well as the adults teach the little ones. So to not think just because one is in a big form or a small form that they're incapable of bringing value to the relationship.
Yeah.
Yeah. So one of I like about the triggering, about not thinking it's the other people. An analogy that I kind of have like to use is about going to a comedy show. Let's say 100 people go to a comedy show and the comedian tells a joke and 98 people laugh and think it's hysterically funny, and 2 people are like, wow, that really makes me mad and I'm angry at that person because he said that. It was like 98 people are laughing, that's why he said that. The 2 people that aren't laughing, it's like, okay, it wasn't intended to make you mad. So why are you mad? And let's figure that out and let's resolve that issue with inside of you, because you being mad is something going on inside of you, has nothing whatsoever to do with the person who told the joke that 98 other people laughed at. So where in me is the pain that shows up as, and how can I fix that within myself?
On the same page.
Well, again, a lot of our watchers are a little more conservative. So again, I'm on the out of the box. So I get to, one of my gifts is being able to explain some of these concepts in ways that the standard conservative normal people can understand them. So
one thing that this kind of brought up to me is like, you hear people say, oh, my child has an old soul, or I can see that they have wisdom that really maybe shouldn't be present in them. That's also, I think, kind of what you're talking about in some ways, is that, you look into the person and how they're presenting themselves, whether they're young or old, etc., and see where it is that it either complements or, like you said, points at something that maybe you need to work on.
Yes, I hear what you're saying clearly.
But if they do come back, are they the same person? Do you have to worry about raising your mother? It's not really like that. How is it the same and how is it different? Because there's a lot of people here that might be freaking out. Is like, man, I know, but there's no memories. It's like, how do we interpret this for the normal average person who hasn't heard any of this before, that might be freaking out?
Well, I can only say that I had the experience that I experienced my mother from another lifetime. And it was sometimes like it wasn't forgotten that they were the mother from the other lifetime, and we had to clarify our roles at this time. So that's been quite humorous. The other part is, being a medium, I'm still in touch with my mother, who is not on this side. So it's nice to see that the generations continue to go, whether one has a body or doesn't.
And I must say, they still have to go through the physiological changes. They still have to go through the brain changes. They still have to grow up, and that different perceptions, different times. They're never the same people, but they might have the same energy. But it's not going to be your mom. It's different. So you don't have to necessarily worry so much. They still have to grow up and be children and learn and go through all of the process all over again.
Yeah, I would say it's not like worrying or anything. It's more like there is some soul recognition, or there usually is. I won't say for everyone, but for me, my experience is there's soul recognition. So I've met people who I recognize who they were from another lifetime and exactly who they were and what they did and how that life was. And then in this lifetime, it just continued on the same path. And I realized that.
Yeah, we've
So,
been long lost friends and have talked like we've known each other for our entire lives. And then we tried to figure out where we've seen each other before. And it's like we'd never actually met. And it's like, how can you know somebody
Right.
for
Yeah.
their
Yeah.
entire life and you've
yeah,
never actually met them before? So yeah, that's
that's a
if you've
soul
ever had that
recognition.
experience, that's kind of
Like that.
like that.
Yeah, that's a soul recognition. Exactly. The soul doesn't forget.
And so, how do we bring that into family counseling and helping families and children communicate better and grow more together as a family now?
I'd say something my mother often said, treat your friends like you would a loving family member, and treat your loving family members like you would a friend. And in that way, there's a respect that you give to your family instead of just taking them for granted. And there's a nearness that you give to friends that they wouldn't get unless they have that personal access space. So that might be something that I would suggest. And to take the opportunity to practice being one's best version of their self in that particular laboratory environment that's exclusively made for each individual. And take that as a space where they can practice the skills of love and understanding and being willing to communicate without finger pointing, because they're three pointing back at self. How did I allow that, condone it, or facilitate that? And first look at self and see, what is this trying to say about me before communicating it with the other person. First handle it with oneself, and then to communicate it with respect, with love, with the other one, to clear the air and do the best to keep the air clear and transparent so that there's no hiding and this and that, but that one can create a foundation of trust so that one can really develop and grow in a safe space, in a safe container, and then be able to take that out into the world, which is the bigger family.
I love that. And we're talking about that with our families and then modeling that for our children and sharing those ideas with our children. That's going to make a major impact on your family life and then your community life, and then they'll ripple out farther from there. So,
And as a tale of caution, I have a younger sister who's 3 years younger than me. I'm 55. We don't talk anymore. Part of my learning was about setting boundaries even within family. And so, we didn't set up communication patterns early enough in our relationship with our family. So eventually it got to the point where the boundaries had to be set, and communication is pretty much not really possible right now. So if you can, get your kids talking, this communication stuff is important. The family is important. And I say that, and I know that because I've lost a lot of them that are still alive. So and hopefully maybe someday we can somehow reconcile.
Yeah.
But at the moment, we're on completely separate paths.
And sometimes I hear what you're saying. And sometimes it doesn't even have to be that one has to have a communication with another. Because, for example, if you think of an X and you think of two individuals at the foot of one on each foot of the X, and as they grow and develop, there's an intersection there where their paths cross. And that part of intersection is where there's a possibility for exchange. As long as they're all developing individually and congruently, compatibly, equivalently, they'll be able to stay in exchange around that central point. As one develops, but the other one doesn't, or they develop in different directions, then that angle between that middle point increases and the distance increases. So if they try to get more harmony there going backwards, it might not work because the angle is now off. So sometimes things just outgrow each other, like the leaves on a tree. Sometimes the leaves are beautiful and they make the tree so beautiful and gorgeous, and they bring shade and solitude and a nice, pleasant being space. And then after a while, the time is up for that mutual intersection, and the trees stay there strong and supportive, and the leaves dry up and they blow away in the wind. But the leaves aren't angry with the tree, and the tree isn't angry at the leaves. It's just the time is up for that intersection with each other. So instead, in establishing boundaries, sometimes it's just the time is up. And to try to glue the leaf back on the tree might just not work. So
Totally get that. Yeah. I love that analogy. Deborah, this has been such an inspiring and interesting conversation, and really hope families are taking this and thinking about and taking that introspective look that you were hoping people would get, and just go forward and think about what it could be to mean to your life to do that introspection and to look at that transformation from the inside. If somebody wanted to contact you and get some more information about what you do or how to work with you, would you please give that information now? And of course, we'll get it down in the show notes as well.
Oh, gladly. Do I need to put it in the chat, or shall I just say it?
Just speak it
Okay.
out loud, and then we'll make sure it's in the show notes.
Wonderful. Thank you. So you could connect with me via LinkedIn, Debrah, Debra C, Burton, Burton. You could connect with me via my website, reconnects.com, RECONNEXX.com. You could send me an email at dcb@selfregimes.com, dcb@selfregimes.com. And I would love to hear from you. I would love to connect with you and even offer you a valuable gift to encourage you on your path further.
And all of that
Thank
information
you.
will be down in the show notes. So if you don't have a pen and paper handy, just click on the link when you're ready for it and you'll be able to get the information down there.
Wonderful.
Awesome. Well, Deborah, thank you again for being here. And audience, unfortunately, it is time for us to go, but you know how to like and share and connect with our experts that come and visit with us, especially if they're going to help your family grow and be happy, healthy, and successful.
And thank you for joining us today, Deborah. It is a pleasure talking to you. I was kind of always in that world, but never stepped out to bring that out. So I always have such respect for the people who took that strange route and dived into it and tried to bring that out. So thank you for your journey, and thank you for being brave enough to step out and to share this with the world.
Very grateful for the opportunity. Wishing you and the listeners blessings.
Thank you so much. All right, audience, take care, and we'll see you later.
Bye for now.
Hello, and welcome to Bringing Education Home. I'm Herb.
And I'm Christina. And together we bring you experts